Well, good morning, everyone. And today is Saturday, May the 30th. We got one more day on this month, and then we start in June. Can you believe it's already that late? Anyway, this is my name is Larry Collins, and this is the Collins Family Urban Homestead. Behind me, you're seeing here, these are the chicks we hatched out not too long ago. There are 7 in there, and they're right at 7 weeks old too. Um, as of they will be on like Monday or Tuesdays when they hit the 7 weeks. Now they've gotten pretty good size. We're starting to tell the difference between the males and the hens and the roosters. I believe I've pretty much got 4 roosters here, and I know at least I got at least 4. I may have to still kind of go take a look at them and see. And there. So that's the update size-wise on the chickens, or at least these. We are just while I'm at it. Got another project. We've got some more. We've been collecting eggs all this week, and probably on Monday we'll set them in the incubator and get another batch going, and we'll see where we're at from that. See what we get from there. So we'll go tour the garden here in a minute. The only main project I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to build a brooder. And I'll take you along on that project a little bit later. So, but I kind of want to do an early morning garden tour and start out with the chicks here. So let's go over and take a look at the garden. As we go take a walk over here to the garden, it is amazing how much some of this stuff has grown, and where we're at on a lot of this stuff. And here's the tomatoes here behind me. And I think the one thing specific on these, let me turn you around this way, see if I can keep you from getting too dizzy. If you can, I'll tell you what, let me turn this around and give you a good view of what's going on. Like I said, these are Amish paste tomatoes, and I've got 2 big ones going on. There's a third one over here somewhere also that I know has come on. I haven't seen any more yet this morning. I haven't been through all of this just yet. So let me kind of turn you around and show you the May tomatoes here. You can see those guys have gotten pretty good size already. And this is morning time for the tomatoes. Everything is going good. I need to get in here and probably clip some of them up on the trellising a bit. Some of them are doing, they're kind of starting to lean over a little bit. I've got a lot of them clipped, but they need even more so. Like this guy here, kind of need to do something with him. But he's, that stalk is as big around as my finger right there, so he's doing pretty good. Also the Malabar spinach down here, I will be harvesting this today. Let me turn you around and show you a closer look at that. So you can see the Malabar spinach is getting up over the raised bed. It's growing up all there. It's got all of that, plus over here and there, it's starting to come up as well. Not to mention all of this over here, plus these guys over here. So what I'm going to do with this, I want to see what it grows with being pruned. I know I grew it last year and I didn't mess with it. I just let it do what it wanted to do, and it was all the way up at the top of the trellis. I could have had even a much larger trellis last year to do it, but this year I'm not going to let it get that tall. I'm going to cut it down short. I want to see if it bushes out If it'll just kind of overtake this area on the ground, or if once you, for all I know, once I cut it, it may die off and just not like it right there. So we'll kind of want to see how that happens, what happens, because it's volunteer. I don't need this here. I didn't plan on this being here. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's one thing. And then the green beans, I'm seriously thinking I'm going to have to add another layer of this Renova netting here on the top, because the tendrils are already getting to the top of that. Haven't seen any flowers on these guys yet, but they are all looking very healthy and looking good and stuff here. Kind of see them all going up the trellises there. And then on this bed, this squash, I swear, has gotten, it's doubling in size on a daily basis. I know I'm seeing some of the small squash, but they're the female flowers, so I don't anticipate them actually developing anything, because I've not seen any of the male flowers pop up yet. Haven't seen any yet, so we'll see what happens. If they develop, great. If not, well, we'll see. But this is doing good, and cross your fingers, no squash bugs yet, no vine borers yet. So hopefully we can get a harvest off of this beforehand. Right here, I kind of did a little bit of an experiment. That's actually a tomato plant right there. What I did was I cut one of the suckers off on one of the Amish paste. I was like, what the heck? I just stuck it in the ground over here just to see, and so far it's surviving and doing good. I'll see what happens. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm stepping over here, is when these guys all come out, all these onions, I'm just going to let that tomato plant kind of sprawl instead of necessarily trellising it up, and just kind of see what happens. That's actually supposed to make the plant grow better, because it lets it put more roots down, but it just makes it a pain in the rear end to actually go in and do the harvesting of all the tomatoes and stuff like that. But my understanding is that would make this whole area just one giant bush of tomatoes. But you can see these onions, they're all starting to fall over, so I'm going to probably give it another week or so, and then we'll start looking at harvesting these tomatoes. The more it goes by on a day, the more they are falling over. I got some of the bigger ones that need to fall over and stuff here, but they are definitely getting ready, and that's going to be a pretty good sized onion harvest there. I've got two different types of onions. I've got these white ones, and I've got some yellow ones. And I bought two different bunches at the store, so those are doing pretty good. And the tomatoes hopefully will be what's going to come in after that. And then probably need to go ahead and pick these bunching onions. So these have been here about a year. Never really made one. Now, according to the seed, you're supposed to put about 10 seeds per hole, and they like to grow real close together. But they didn't really, I know bunching onions don't make a huge bulb, but they didn't really make it. They were a royal pain to try to get out when harvesting. So in future, I'm just going to put like 1 or 2 seeds per hole and space them out like you would regular onions. So that's a kind of a learning lesson from that. The chives are doing pretty good. That's what these are here. Last week I went in on this basil, and I harvested it down quite a bit, just because I want these to bush out, and I want more basil. And if you don't harvest it, it's going to end up bolting on you and going to seed. But if you cut it back, it'll produce quite a bit throughout the year, and you'll get more from it than just letting it go up. And I got my one beet that's sitting over there. It's ready to be harvested. And then this is my sip tomato plant here. It's doing good. I don't think it's quite as good as the ones that are in the raised bed over there. Of course, it doesn't have the room that it needs. It's got a few flowers and stuff on it. And so I'm not dissatisfied with it, but it's I mean, for a sip garden tomato, it's doing pretty good. I need to tie some of it up and stuff like that. So, and then last week we transplanted out the other tomatoes I had. We got this one here. It's still doing good. That one there. I've got actually two different ones in there, and they haven't wilted. They haven't done anything. I think they're still in the process of just developing good roots and developing it better down in the soil. One thing I did do on the longer ones is I kind of laid them down this way and just put a little bit up, so it should develop roots all along the edge right there. So those are still coming up, and I'll show you this one over here also. And we got this one here. It's doing pretty good. So that's the sip garden tomatoes. The other thing I had shown you guys over here was a Malabar spinach that was a volunteer. Well, if you take a look here, let me turn you around a little bit. Well, as you can tell, it doesn't seem to be there anymore. I see the stem and stuff down at the bottom, but there's no leaves. But that's what happens when you let your chickens out in free ranging. They've been out and they've been in this area, the chickens and the ducks, and I think they pretty much ate it down. Not to mention, underneath this shed right here, the last couple of days we've seen a bunny rabbit, little small cottontail. It's been living under there. He's come out the last 2 or 3 days, and so yeah, that plant couldn't quite survive the onslaught of chickens, ducks, and a rabbit. So we'll see. I'll leave this here a little bit to see if it gets a chance to actually come back up. If not, we'll take all this down and move on from there. Like I said, it was a volunteer. It became chicken and duck food, so that was the case with that. So we'll finish this up for this morning. We'll come back, probably do a couple more projects for the week. This is, with everything, with the garden fully planted and stuff, right now I don't have any projects pending or pressing anyway that has to absolutely get done. I do need to get a brooder built, and that's going to be on the project list for today. It's not super important, but it needs to be, because if we're going to be putting eggs in the incubator on starting Monday, then we'll need the brooder in about 3 weeks to put some chicks in. And I want to set the brooder up and get it outside so that I don't have to keep baby chicks in the house. But I'll bring you along on that project when we get there. So we'll see you on the next project. Hey, so I went through this morning, we did the garden tour and stuff, and I showed you everything. I went back out here, it's not more than a half an hour later, and just kind of taking a little bit more detailed tour for my own self and kind of looking around. And whereas this morning I showed you I only saw 3 tomatoes and stuff that are on the vine, there's actually several that are starting to form and make and stuff. So looking throughout these tomatoes, they are actually putting on quite a few tomatoes. So let me kind of see if I can show you some close-up shots of some of those. Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, May the 30th, last day of the month in the month of May here. So I figured, well, before the sun gets up, I'd kind of show you some of the progress I got done yesterday. I got the basic framework and everything of the brooder taken care of. So let me turn you around and show you what I did on that. So here's the brooder. It's made from 2x2s. It's a little over 5 foot long, 31.5 inches wide, a little bit more. Got a wood bottom in it. It's going to end up with metal on the sides and ends. On this one end here where you can see the grass, that's going to be, I'm going to put hardwood cloth there. That gives me a spot to put the water in so that it doesn't get all over the bedding and stuff like that. And I'll wrap the whole thing in the corrugated metal, and we can pick this thing up and move it wherever we want to, and it'll be it'll easily be able to lift the lid, put a heating unit in there to keep the chicks warm and stuff like that. So this should work pretty good for a brooder. So I'm looking at it. That's bonus footage here. So yeah, we should be able to use this as a brooder. Hopefully it'll, and we got the summer getting ready to come on here pretty hard, so it should definitely work real well in the summertime. We'll see what it does in the wintertime. Over time as we continue on, it'll definitely give us the time and the space that we need to incubate chicks while they're outside, and without putting them inside the house. So there's another project I showed you guys last week about what I did for the chickens feed and how to get it up out of the weather and stuff like that. That actually did such a good job that I did the same kind of thing for the ducks as well. And kind of get over here real quick. You can kind of see back there, it's kind of behind that waterer right there. And that's the only minor adjustment I did is I actually went and got a bowl and put it in there to contain the food. And I've got a small little Tupperware container also that at night I'll dump the food in that and put a lid on it to kind of keep any critters and stuff like that out of it at night. And then I'll just put it right back in. It's definitely, we've actually got food left at the end of the night, so they're not going through everything. Whereas before, it's like there would be nothing left. The bowl would be upside down, and it'd be all throughout the run here. So that worked so well for them that I did the same kind of thing here for the ducks. This one, all I did here was just take the 18-gallon tote and just put it on the ground, and I put the bowl in there. I've got the Rubbermaid container in there also, doing the same thing. This works easier for the ducks than it even does for the chickens, because the ducks don't get in there and toss their food and stuff all the way around. They're pretty clean with their food, so they get in there, they don't spill it and stuff like that, and that's easy enough to dump it into the container. Whereas I gotta kind of clean the chickens up a little bit, kind of get a dustpan or the lid or something like that in there to kind of sweep up whatever they got, but everything's still within the whole container there. They're in there getting it and stuff like that. So I like this idea. It's worked pretty well. It's kept the food dry. We've had some pretty good rains, no issues with the food getting wet and stuff like that. So that's been one successful project. We'll continue this other one. I'll show you when it gets completed and show you the finished project. So we'll see you at the end of the next project. So this morning I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a harvest video, if you will. This is all of my Malabar spinach that's growing up. I'm not going to let it get, this is as tall as I want this to get. So I'm going to harvest this back. The idea is here, we want to see how well this grows when it's pruned back a lot, or if when you harvest it, if it'll just flat out. Hold on. Okay, had to wait for the train to go by. So, like I said, I'm going to harvest this, and we're going to cut it down, and we'll kind of check to see whether this is going to make it bush out, or if this ends up killing the whole plant. If it kills the entire plant, well, it was a volunteer anyway that I really don't want in this location. If it bushes out, then I've got ground cover and plenty of food. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. So that's a pretty good little basket full there. I need to go through and take the leaves off and trim that down a little bit. So but there's still quite a bit here, but that keeps us down here. You can kind of see there's still plenty of greens here, plus I've got some behind me I'm still going to go pick as well. So that's the idea. We'll continue harvesting this and go forward, and we'll follow along in this journey, and we'll see how well this works. Okay, see you on the next project. Oh, hello and welcome. This is Sunday afternoon finally, and I got the main project I wanted to get done this weekend completed. This is going to be my chicken brooder for any chicks going forward. I know tomorrow we're planning on setting, I think I've got 17 eggs at the moment. We'll probably get 2 or 3 more tomorrow, so it'll probably be somewhere over 20 eggs tomorrow that we're going to go ahead and set and get the incubator. I plugged it in a while ago and got it set and going. So when those guys are ready to hatch, they'll go in here. Which you can. So on this part here, this is all hardware cloth here, so I can put water in here and they can get in it, and it won't spill all over things and get their bedding dry. Whereas over on this side, I've got a bottom in here. I've got this plywood part here. I can put a power strip or something here. I've got enough room on the top so I can run a power cord through here. This doesn't meet all the way to here. There's a gap right here. I can put a power cord in there. I can run any kind of heat source in here that I want. It's completely blocked in, so it won't get any wind coming into it. Should do a good job for keeping them warm and keeping them protected and not be in the house. Key point there is keep them out of the house. So this was the project for the weekend that I wanted to get done. I've already done the garden stuff, so tomorrow's June 1st. Time to shut it down for the weekend. So hope you guys have a great week. God bless. Thanks for the journey. If you like this kind of stuff, hit click and subscribe, I appreciate it. Leave any comments. Let me know what you think on this. I think I just need to add a handle on here is the only other thing I need to do. So that's it for this week. God bless and have a great week.